Get ready to hear the truth about America on a show that's not immune to the facts with your host, Dan Bongino.
Oh my gosh, if there was ever an example of the Bongino rule, holy Moses, was it yesterday with this tragedy, this plane crash? Guys, I can't tell you. Go do me a favor before we even start the show. Everybody out there, X is one of my favorite platforms for news. X, Truth, I love them. I'm on there all day. Just go and put Bongino rule in there. There's seriously 20 to 50 tweets of awesome Bongino show, and I mean awesome, P1 listeners, correcting people on who was the pilot, who wasn't, the Bongino rule, just wait. A bunch of people, not you, because you guys are smart, okay? A bunch of people got out ahead of the thing and made fools out of themselves. This Bongino rule thing is not, I don't even want to call it the Bongino rule. I just want to call it like a life rule because I don't want to take credit for common sense. Yes, we're going to talk about a story. The Bongino rule is not don't talk about a story. That's stupid. It's just don't draw any conclusions for about 24 to 72 hours until you have the entire spreadsheet of facts or a good amount of them to do that. Man, I can't thank you enough for stopping a lot of people and protecting them against themselves on X for this thing. Look, we found the pilot. You know what I'm talking about if you've been on X. I'm not even going to get into it. The Bongino rule will never fail you. It will never fail you. You don't have to be first. You don't. But you do have to be right. You do. Your credibility will only be built up over time. I promise you. I got a big show for you today. Folks, Trump said what needed to be said yesterday. If you don't want to hear it, vote for someone different next time. Don't vote for a MAGA person because that's not the MAGA movement going forward. Yeah, DEI is a cancerous curse. And you know what? There is the only time to talk about it is when people are paying attention. You don't want to hear it. Today's show is not going to be for you. Okay? I'm just telling you right now. We got a lot to talk about, including Cash Patel up on the Hill yesterday, tearing it up, just like I told you. Hey, lately I spent night after night tossing and turning, waking up exhausted, feeling like I was falling behind on everything that mattered. You know what happened? I started taking Beam's Dream Powder. It works for me. Beam is proudly founded in America, run by people who share our values, hard work, integrity, and results. It's a science-backed, healthy nighttime blend packed with ingredients shown to improve sleep so you can wake up refreshed and ready to take on the day like I feel today. Dream is made with a powerful all-natural blend of reishi, magnesium, L-theanine, apigenin, and melatonin. Beams already helped improve over 17.5 million nights of sleep, helping people across the country wake up and feel their best. So here's the deal. Beam's giving my listeners the ultimate Patriot discount of 47% off. You get it? You guys get that? Okay, you get it? It took a while for some. Try their best-selling Dream Powder and get up to 47% off. Not 48, 47 for a limited time. Go to shopbeam.com/Bongino. Use code Bongino at checkout. That's shopbeam.com/Bongino. Use code Bongino for up to 47% off. Get a good night's sleep. Support an American company. Invest in yourself. Get the best sleep of your life. All right, fellas. Got to hit that bell today. Let's get started on this Friday. Listen, there's a lot to talk about, so let me get right to it. Number one, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to state this categorically. You don't like it. This is the wrong show for you. That's okay. It's not an airport. You don't have to announce your departure. I love you if you're here, but if you choose to leave, it's okay. DEI is racist. DEI is a cancer. Prove me wrong. Let me say it again. DEI is racist. It is a cancer. Prove me wrong. Okay, you can't. Folks, you cannot engage in hiring. You cannot engage in the promotion process, in the admittance to selective colleges and training programs based on skin color. If you do it, you are engaging in a racist practice. Period. I can't help you if you think otherwise. I get it. I have said it. I have spoken out against it. This country has a tough, really rough history with race, from slavery to the Civil War to Jim Crow. That is our history. We screwed a lot of things up like every country on earth did, okay? We did our best to fix it. Millions of people died and marched and did everything we can to get to a society that judges people based on merit. And we have made an enormous amount of progress. And I am damn proud of the country I live in. I am ashamed that some people in the past engaged in that behavior, but I'm proud of the people who fought against it. And those are your ancestors too. You should be damn proud of being part of this place. And I am not going to stand idle while people go back and drag us back to a place where we say, do you have the appropriate amount of melanin in your skin? You do not. Well, that job isn't for you. We are not doing that. What is Two Thumbs going to fight that all the time? This guy. We're not doing it. Forget it. DEI is racist. And yes, this is the time to talk about it because the government, a lot of corporations, universities, academics, people all over the United States have dug into society and embedded this cancer everywhere. And you damn well know if you've been a victim of it, you know what it feels like to have busted your ass and not gotten promoted or not gotten a job because you didn't meet some BS quota that had nothing to do with your skills. And here's the real rotting cancer of DEI. And I'm glad Trump brought it up yesterday, and I hope he brings it up again. Even the people who, air quotes, benefit from it are victims too. No, they're not. Yes, they are. Because you know what it does? It breeds animosity. Where people start to say, wait, did that guy get this or that woman get that because she checked some box and not because she worked as hard as I did? What do you think the person who gets passed over thinks? You think they're happy about that? Is that what you want? A bunch of miserable people pissed off that they lost their job, they lost an opportunity, or they lost a raise because they didn't have the right melanin in their skin or sexual orientation. But that's complete crap, man. DEI is racist. I am glad we have a country with strong civil rights laws where if you engage in any racist activity, that guy's not hired because he's black or Hispanic, then your dumbass, ignorant, stupid ass deserves to pay. We already have laws against that. The way to remedy this isn't to flip the script on it. New York Times already blaming Trump. Trump blames DEI and Biden for crash under his watch. Ladies and gentlemen, has it ever occurred to the New York Times that Donald Trump may know something about what happened and the circumstances? I'm not telling you DEI was the cause of this. I am telling you that DEI has embedded itself into the government so that you can't eliminate it as a cause. I want to give a shout out. I got to get these videos, but this is important. I don't usually like monologues this long without some kind of video show formatics, but this is super important. I got a clip of the exchange later, but not this specific part. Greg Gutfeld is a very, very, very insightful guy on Fox. I've known Greg for a long time, and don't mistake his sarcasm and humor. Do not mistake that for any kind of like lack of depth. Greg said something yesterday on the 5 that was absolutely brilliant to Jessica Tarloff. He said that DEI is the mirror to identity politics. Whereas the left will use identity politics, racism, they will blame everything on racism. They lose an election, racism. Voter ID, racist. Police behavior, racist. Without any evidence at all that's true, every single thing is due to racism. Despite an ability to produce a shred of evidence that a lot of what they say, I'm not telling you all of it, but a lot of what they say is true. Greg was brilliant. You know what he said? He said, it's funny how DEI has become the exact opposite. It's like a mirror for them. He's like, DEI, did you ever notice with the left? They're so proud of DEI, but it has nothing to do with anything. Helicopter crash with an agency, ATC, FAA, runs air traffic control. Openly proclaiming DEI is the way forward. Oh, no, that had nothing to do with it. They don't know that yet. Military, lack of readiness and lethality. DEI, that had nothing to do with it. That had nothing to do with it. I'm going to say to Greg, brother, absolutely brilliant point. that I'm not going to steal because I will appropriately credit you, but I'm going to use often and make sure you get the credit. Brilliant point. Racism's the cause of everything on the left. Yet DEI is the cause of absolutely nothing. Here was one of the upper-level deputy director types at the FAA back in 2023 talking about their push. This is in the Biden years for DEI, which is racist, period. There is no argument about that. Pushing for DEI in the FAA, which is responsible for things like not having aircraft collide in the air. Don't listen to me, listen to them. Check this out.
Hi, I'm Brad Mims, Deputy Administrator at the Federal Aviation Administration. We are looking for the best and brightest to join us as air traffic controllers. We need a diverse group of air traffic controllers to bring distinct perspectives to handle the ever-changing aerospace landscape. I'm calling on students and alumni from HBCUs, Hispanic serving institutions, and tribal colleges to apply now to become air traffic controllers. I don't want anyone interested to miss out on this amazing career opportunity. Make sure you complete your full application during our application window. The short application window ends on May 8th. We need a diverse, next-generation air traffic workforce with people from all backgrounds. So apply now.
We don't need any of that shit. We don't need any of it. You know what we need? Good people who can keep aircraft from colliding and exploding in the sky. And by the way, Mr. Mims, I believe it's not there anymore. Isn't it a little racist to constantly insist that people who are not white are incapable of meeting the same criteria as people who happen to be white? Isn't that racist? Yes, it is. DEI is racist, period. There is no arguing it. You are judging people on characteristics unrelated to their job skills based on race, gender, sex, sexual orientation, LGBTQIA, BIOPC2+. It has nothing to do with merit. Don't get people killed in the skies. None of that stuff has anything to do with anything. Here was one of Biden's nominees to run the FAA at the top. Now, listen, I don't expect these guys. Sometimes managers have different skills. I mean, was it the guy who ran Coke or something at one time, went in to run Apple, but he did a good job. Sometimes people have different skill sets. However, I expect you to know a little bit if you're going to go and run the FAA. Here's Biden's, one of his FAA nominees at the time, who doesn't seem to know a lot about like air traffic, which would kind of be a big deal for the Federal Aviation Administration. I'm just throwing that out there. Check this out.
Mr. Washington, can you quickly tell me what airspace requires an ADS-B transponder?
Not sure I can answer that question right now.
That's okay. We'll just keep going. So that's a pretty important part. So what are the 6 types of special use airspace that protect this national security that appear on FAA charts?
Sorry, Senator, I cannot answer that question.
Okay. So what are the operational limitations of a pilot flying under basic med?
Senator, I'm not a pilot, so...
But obviously you'd oversee the Federal Aviation Administration. So any idea what those restrictions are under basic med, quickly?
Well, some of the restrictions, I think, would be high blood pressure. Some of them would be...
It's more like how many passengers per airplane, how many pounds in different categories, and what altitude you can fly under. So, and then amount of knots. It's under 250 knots. So, it's not having anything to do with blood pressure. So, can you tell me what causes an aircraft to spin or to stall?
Again, Senator, I'm not a pilot.
This is not fun. I'm not. I can't. Michael brought up a great point. I applaud him on the third jump cut there where at least gives it a shot. He's like, I think it's like blood pressure. Some guy's like, no, it actually is. It's like weight of the plane and distribution away. But good try, blood pressure. But folks, this guy, I don't know this guy. I'm not going to be an asshole to him. The guy could be brilliant. I don't know. The guy could have been in the widget space before, been the greatest widget maker ever. I don't know. The point is, he just didn't know anything about aviation for the Federal Aviation Administration. Like, I don't know, like maybe do a little homework first? Well, I mean, I'm just asking you, where else would this satisfy you if you were a shareholder in a company? You won't say 7% of $1 billion company, right? They're ready to hire some new, bring on some new board member. Don't you want them to know a little bit about the company before he gets under? Only in the federal government is this okay because of the third-party payer problem. The government is spending money on other people with other people's money. So they don't care about the cost and they don't care about the quality because they're not buying anything for themselves and it's not their money. Here's Fox News headline. FAA's diversity push includes a focus on hiring people with severe intellectual and psychiatric disabilities. Listen, it's serious time, okay? This is a hard segment for me. I have a rather large family on my mother's side. My grandmother was Irish. Well, there was a lot of them. She had 8 sisters. We have a really big family. We've dealt with a lot of issues, a lot of struggles. I've dealt with a lot of this with people very close to me. I'm going to leave their identities out, but it's a serious problem. And I do not mean at all to make light of it. But folks, I can tell you from dealing with people extremely close to me who have had psychiatric disturbances, let's say, and disabilities, you do not want them. It's not a reflection on their character. It's a problem. A lot of it's genetic. You do not want them doing air traffic control where a mistake means people die, and a lot of them. When Donald Trump said yesterday, this is common sense, it should be. Now, of course, the media wants to paint Donald Trump as callous and hard and attacking people, which he did no such thing. I want you to ignore that like you did the bloodbath hoax, debunk it, and move on. Folks, these are not the positions for people who have these kind of issues that they're getting through in their lives. People's lives are at stake here. Do you understand? This is common sense, and I mean it. It is sense that's so common that because if anyone else said it other than Donald Trump, it would make sense. This is insane. Here was that segment I talked to you about. Now, I left the part out with Greg because I addressed that myself. But here is the queen of the curve, Jessica Tarlov, again, who, what I find amazing about her segments on the 5 is whereas Greg will just, you ever see Greg? Greg will just sit back. I can't get enough of the 5. He maybe has some notes in front, but he'll just sit back and take it all in and extemporaneously go back at Tarlov. I want you to watch this from now on. Tarlov is always reading from notes. It's some focus group or Democrat operation that gave her these talking points. Do you ever notice she's always reading from her notes? Watch. This is what she does all the time. She gives you some focus group tested talking point a Democrat fed her about this thing. Here she is, again, trying to blame Trump. Guy's been in office, 10 days when this happened? 9 days? Listen to this.
Moment to be talking about those things, and there is a moment to just be a consoler in chief. And I thought that CNN's aviation expert, Pete Muntean, put it well. He said what he said is not only unprofessional, unpresidential, inconsiderate of the status of the investigation, but frankly unhinged. This DEI policy was put into...
You agree that was unhinged, what he did?
I think coming out, and the first part when he was reading off the prompter was correct. Whoever wrote it, if it was Stephen Miller or someone else, that sounded like somebody who was actually thinking of the families of the people who had just passed away. And then he had a campaign rally in the middle of what should have been a somber occasion. And these DEI policies were put in place in 2013. He had every opportunity through his first administration to revoke them if they thought they were terrible.
She's been given the talking points. She's reading the notes. And again, these people are such frauds that it's really hard for me to take. This is not the time for this. The same losers on the left, when there is a school shooting and kids' bodies have not even been brought out of the school, are immediately condemning, say it happens, God forbid, in Florida, a farmer in Idaho who has a handgun. Because he has a handgun, he's guilty too. And you're faulting Donald Trump for going up there and saying, hey, we got a problem. This tragedy just happened, and we're moving on this right away. Unreal. If you haven't seen that whole segment, I encourage you to listen to it. Because again, reads from the notes, focus group tested talking points only, not a single extemporaneous creative thought, easily debunked by Greg, Jesse, Dana, and elsewhere. I got another exchange coming up. There was a Tucker Carlson clip when he still had his 8 o'clock show on Fox, showing you that this problem, and by the way, she's like, oh yeah, this lasted through the Trump administration. This stuff has lasted forever because the left keeps suing over it. It's unbelievable how they stick to these talking points and people just don't fire back. Really? Trump's a DEI supporter. Are you sure about that? Didn't you guys sue endlessly over this stuff? He's been trying to schedule left federal employees to get rid of unnecessary dead weight in the federal government that's not pulling away for years. Did you miss that? Of course she didn't miss it. It just wasn't on her talking point sheet. That's why she's the queen of the Karens. That's why I respect Harold Ford. So at least he has an independent thought once in a while. I got this video from Tucker coming up next in case you, which I know it doesn't apply to you, but if you're a liberal watching today and you think, oh my gosh, this is a new problem. I mean, Donald Trump. No, this isn't a new problem. This is an ongoing problem. Trump and Republicans, the good ones, have been trying to fix forever. I'll be right back to that quick break. Hey, if you own carry a firearm for protection, you need to join an organization I've been with forever, the USCCA. People like you and me can't risk it. Imagine rotting in prison. It's happened just because you used the gun in self-defense. You've seen it in the headlines. If a good guy with a gun defends himself or others, he's probably more likely to get locked up than the actual criminal. Even with the new administration, the justice system, especially in a lot of these liberal states, is absolutely no friend to gun owners like you. That's why I've been a member of the USCCA for years. And right now, the USCCA is giving away a free concealed carry and family defense guide and the chance to win $1,200 to buy a firearm or any gear you need to protect your family, all 100% free. You can get it when you visit uscca.com/Dan. Please go today. Protect yourself. You're going to learn how to detect attackers before they see you, equipment and training basics, how to responsibly own and store a gun, and a whole lot more. It's a 58-page guide loaded with valuable information. Visit uscca.com/Dan. You'll get instant access and a chance to win $1,200 to buy the gear you need. Go to uscca.com/Dan now, uscca.com/Dan. Great organization. I've been a member for a long time. Check them out. Thanks, USCCA. All right, back to the show. You think this is a new problem, folks? The left that's so eager to say DEI had nothing to do with this. You don't know that. I admitted to you in the beginning of the show. Do I know it's the sole reason we had this aircraft tragedy? I don't know that. I don't know that yet. The Bongino rule matters. But I'm not closing off the possibility either. Here's a Tucker Carlson clip from a while ago exposing the FAA for prioritizing racist DEI over merit. And people die when you do that. Watch this.
A biographical questionnaire whose purpose was not hiring skilled controllers. In fact, the more skills you had, the fewer points you got, perversely. But instead, the point was ensuring the hiring of people who were of the right race. It was insane, of course, dangerous, yes, and it sparked a major reaction. Now, the Department of Transportation says it is ready to revise those policies in the name of public safety. Stephen Bradbury is the General Counsel of the Department of Transportation, and he joins us tonight. Mr. Bradbury, thanks for coming on.
Well, thanks for having me on, Tucker.
So it was a pretty simple story, and I think the fix is pretty simple. Can you assure our viewers that air traffic controllers will be hired solely on the basis of relevant criteria? In other words, how good they are at air traffic controlling, and not on the basis of irrelevant criteria like their appearance?
That's right. We're making a change to no longer use that biographical assessment that the FAA has used since 2014 and that you featured on your show.
There were Trump people battling this stuff. This has been going on for a long time, folks. Or you can believe Jessica Tarloff, who's had to frequently correct herself on the air for nonsense. You want to believe the truth or Queen of the Karens? They've been fighting this crap forever. People are going to die. Here's NBC News, of course. Republicans pounce how right-wing influencers turned airplanes and airports into culture war battlegrounds. We didn't do it, dipshit. You guys did it. Nobody thinks airplanes and airports are racist. We're just exposing you guys for being racist, for running airplanes and airports with a racist policy. Don't blame us. David Ingram, a source of constant litanies of BS out of NBC. Here's Jackie Heinrich at Fox on Twitter. New York Times, control tower staffing was not normal during deadly crash, FAA says. Maybe if they weren't so focused on DIE, maybe you would have had enough people in there to prevent 67 souls from being snuffed out. The controller on duty was doing a job usually handled by 2 people. Collision between the jet and the helicopter killed 67 people. Bodies are still being recovered. Give us the 67 people back. Unscrew yourselves, man. Why is this only acceptable in government? Because, again, they don't care. The government steals your money to pay other people. It's not their money, and they're not even buying anything for themselves. The only reason they may care about this is because D.C. lawmakers fly out of Reagan and don't want to die. It may be the only reason you get some change out of this. Folks, this is just disgusting stuff. And if we don't rip this DEI racist crap out root and branch, then we're not going to have a government left. You are breeding and watering seeds of mistrust, and people really start to get bitter at other people when they feel like they lost out to someone else for all the wrong reasons. We already have strong EEO and civil rights laws in this country. It is illegal to discriminate based on race, period. It's not extra illegal. It's illegal now. You think you're going to find a sympathetic ear if you go to the media and say, I have proof of anti-black, anti-Hispanic, anti-Asian racism? The media will jump all over that story. You have legal and PR avenues to handle this now. The solution isn't a system-wide overhaul where we then discriminate against an entirely different group of people, Asians in colleges, white men in work. I thought this was fairly obvious. Okay, we're going to switch gears here for a second. And listen, get ready. What do we got? 138, almost 140. Nice crowd today. Covered nicely. Yesterday, our audience got a little bit. We were still number 1, thank you, by far. But still, the Trump presser, I think, understandably, some people watch cable, watch us on demand later. I may lose some of you here, and I'm going to say that in advance. I hope I don't. But I'm making an executive decision. Folks, this segment is about economics. It's about 1:30. It's from a guy I really like, this Peter St. Onge. You should follow him on X. He does a lot of great videos on economics, and he makes them digestible. 3 minutes or less. You will learn so much. I love economics. I'm passionate about it. There is a massive proposal out there by Donald Trump that is going to interest, even if you're listening right now, and go, I hate economics. You won't hate this. Donald Trump, right? Even Justin, listen to this one. This one, I'm telling you, this is a game breaker. Break the game wide open. If Donald Trump can convince the Republican Congress to get rid of the income tax for a system of tariffs instead, ladies and gentlemen, the economy will absolutely explode like you have not seen since the Reagan years, maybe bigger. The explosion of capital and investment in the United States and the basically $30,000 or so raise a lot of people are going to get will absolutely blow our economy up like you've never seen before. I want you to watch this St. Onge video. It's about 1:30. But man, does he lay it out about what exactly this would do. It's worth your time. Please listen. Check this out.
Donald Trump is doubling down on completely repealing the income tax, replacing it with tariffs on foreigners. The left, who uses the income tax to suck the blood from the American people on behalf of giant corporations, and pink-haired child mutilators are popping their little heads. Now, during the campaign, Trump had repeatedly mused, what if we just get rid of the income tax and abolish the IRS? The left was not taking him seriously because, like politicians say all kinds of stuff when they're trying to get elected. But now, with the election safely under his belt, Trump is not letting it go. In fact, he's doubling down. In an address to a major GOP policy retreat in Florida, Trump ran through the history of the tariff, how America was much richer as a country when we funded the federal government not off the blood, sweat, and tears of the American people, but off foreigners in the form of tariffs. Of course, that golden age ended in 1913 with the left's victorious imposition of an income tax that was originally promised as only hitting the top 1%, but today, of course, hits everybody. Now, I've talked about the tariffs for income tax trade-off, but in short, if you get rid of the income tax and replace it with tariffs, you're looking at a $1.5 trillion net decline in federal taxes, so you would need Elon's Doge to cut spending. In return, you would massively raise income, raise economic growth, and lower inflation. I've estimated the average American household would see something like a $30,000 rise in annual income. It's about 40%, and it comes to about $2,500 per month. About half of that would come from the taxes you no longer pay, the other half from higher economic growth, since we would no longer be taxing work or entrepreneurship.
Folks, that's one of the best minute and 30s you're ever going to hear. Can you imagine what an extra $20,000 to $30,000 a year would do for you? Do you have any idea? That's life-changing money. Life-changing money. A year. Over 10 years, you're talking about the value of many of people's homes. $30K in your wallet? Now, I will say one thing. There would have to be massive, wasteful government spending cuts, which is what we want. Because in the beginning, there's going to be some dislocation. And if you want to understand the math, it's very simple. Wall Street Journal, Don Luskin has a good piece about this. This is why. The income base, in other words, the amount of United States total income we tax on the income tax is $25 trillion. Throw that piece up if you could. So we're taxing $25 trillion of income, okay? So you get a percentage of that, the United States government, okay? If we're going to tax only imports and tariffs, the base is a maximum of $3 trillion. So in other words, they say that means a 10% tariff would have an effect roughly equivalent to a 1.3% increase in personal tax rates. What I'm getting at is there are things we do have to fund. We have to pay interest on our national debt or no one's going to lend us money again. We have to fund our military. You know, we have a bunch of seniors on Social Security who spent their whole lives. We can't just say, hey, screw it, you're all going to die. We can't do that. It's going to take a while to wind down all this spending. However, this may be Donald Trump's most bold, brilliant idea yet. He would transform the entire country if he did it. If we had to graduate it down and graduate it up tariff, my gosh, could you imagine what it'd be like to not have to deal with the IRS again? I know some of you like economic segments. Some of you don't. I'm just telling you, you want the United States to be twice and 3 times as rich in 5 to 10 years. You do that and you'll watch what happens. This place will freaking explode. $30,000. Can you imagine what you do with that? Quick break. I want to get to Cash Patel yesterday. So much happened during that hearing. I told you Cash was the guy. This guy is kicking ass and taking names. I never let you down with my picks. J.D. Vance, Cash Patel, these are your guys. Hey, we've all seen the headlines. Cyber attacks on the grid, drones in the sky, violent attacks on Americans. The ugly truth is no leader, no system are going to protect you from every emergency. You want to be standing in line in an emergency, waiting on government food? Good luck. You're going to starve to death, and so is everyone around you. When crisis hits, food's the first casualty. Everybody panic buys too. Not me. I'm prepared with my Patriot Supply. I have a 4-week emergency food kit, multiples for every member of my family. What's in it? About 2,000 calories a day and 100% of your daily value of 12 essential vitamins and minerals. The food will keep you strong when every meal matters in an emergency. My Patriot Supply foods are packed in ultra-durable, heavy-duty pouches. They can last up to 2.5 decades in storage. Right now, they're offering $50 off their 4-week food kit. Get more than one. Go to mypatriotsupply.com now and grab yours for $50 off. Don't put this off. Now's the time to prepare, not after an emergency. That's mypatriotsupply.com for your 4-week emergency food kit today. mypatriotsupply.com. And our last sponsor today is MyPillow. Listen, I used to wake up sore from head to toe. I used to whine about it all the time. Now, for the first time in years, I've been sleeping great because I changed my pillow a while ago to a MyPillow. I love it. I sleep so comfortable on it. I have no more neck pain. You'll get a standard classic MyPillow for wholesale prices, only $14.88, but it gets better. For a limited time, they're going to offer their entire classic collection at wholesale prices. Get queen-size MyPillows for just $18.88. Upgrade to a king for only $1 more. Get the body pillows for $29.88. I love that, by the way, because my shoulders. And multi-use MyPillows for only $9.88. They're so sure you'll be satisfied. They offer a 10-year warranty and a 60-day money-back guarantee. Plus, all orders over $75 ship absolutely free. MyPillow is offering an amazing deal on their classic MyPillow collection. So go to MyPillow.com. Click on the radio podcast square or call 1-800-637-4982. Or go to MyPillow.com. Use promo code Dan to get these unbelievable offers. Once again, that's 1-800-637-4982. Or go to MyPillow.com and use promo code Dan. Don't lose another night of good sleep. Thank you, MyPillow. Okay, getting back to the hearing yesterday. Folks, I told you Cash was the guy. I know Cash personally. I don't let my personal relationships get in the way of my show. I owe you better. I'm just telling you who Cash is personally is who Cash is publicly. Cash is a good man. Cash has been the victim of all of this deep state BS that's happened. And I want you to know this. People forget this. You guys ready? Don't ever forget Devin Nunes and Cash Patel. Devin Nunes and Cash Patel, if it wasn't for those two, you would know absolutely nothing about the collusion hoax. You wouldn't. They were the ones, those two guys. Others got on later. They were the two guys who cracked this thing open from the inside. And because of that, their lives were turned upside down. Cash knows what it's like. Cash also knows the dirty details behind January 6th. Ladies and gentlemen, I've told you 1,000 times, I wish things would have went down different, okay? I'm not going to sit here and tell you everything was great that day. No, that's not what happened. But there is zero question right now, zero, that what happened that day, the full story's never been told. Whether it's been the mobilization of the National Guard, federal involvement in that day, I know happened. And in addition, the identity of the pipe bomber, someone is hiding a deep, dark secret about what happened on January 6th. This is the real reason the left hates Cash Patel, by the way. Here he is addressing the National Guard and who was called and when was called. The left doesn't want this story out there because they want to look like, oh, we're clean of all this. We had nothing to do with anything. Oh, really? Check this out.
What were you doing on that day?
On that day specifically, responding to preparing to mobilize and deploy the National Guard once we got the lawful request from the local governing authority, which was the mayor of D.C. and the Speaker of the House.
Now, how many days in advance were you working to prepare the Department of Defense to help secure the Capitol on January 6th?
Days in advance, Senator. We were in the Oval Office on an unrelated national security matter with the President of the United States, the Secretary of Defense, the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and myself. And the President authorized up to 20,000 plus National Guardsmen and women to secure any security measures necessary related to the Capitol. So we were moving to the fullest extent of the law before the requisite request came from a local governing authority days ahead of time.
And while you were Chief of Staff at DOD, how many times did DOD approach Capitol Police and ask if they needed National Guard assistance?
I believe those letters are well documented, numerous instances, and numerous of those instances, those requests were shut down.
Now, am I correct that the Capitol Sergeant at Arms said assistance was unnecessary?
That's correct, Senator.
Who did the Sergeant at Arms report to?
The Speaker of the House.
Speaker of the House. Wasn't that Pelosi? Folks, they just don't want to tell you the whole story. Here, you want a really quick, simple, easy pro tip on how to never look like a liberal, foolish, hypocritical, piece of garbage, filthy, far-left communist Democrat? Just tell the truth. Yeah, man, January 6th went down this way. I got a lot of objections to a lot of things. I have a lot of objections to you lying to me, too. You're telling me Nancy Pelosi knew nothing about the security situation at all? Cash Patel is telling you on the record after being sworn in, there are memos documenting this. They're not telling you the full story because they don't want to. I don't care what, all I'm going to tell you is the damn truth. If you don't like the truth, this show's not for you. It's okay. Why do you want to be lied to all the time? This is the real reason they don't want Cash around. Here he is responding up on the Hill to these absolute BS Democrat attacks on this man's character. Cash is a good and decent guy. I've been around him quite a bit. Cash is one of those guys, I'm going to tell you right now, when you pick up the phone, he's like Pete Hegseth, Secretary Hegseth now. You call this guy up, if he doesn't get back to you, he'll call you immediately because he's in some kind of meeting or something. Every single time. Here he is yesterday on these Democrat attacks against him. Check this out.
If the best attacks on me are going to be false accusations and grotesque mischaracterizations, the only thing this body is doing is defeating the credibility of the men and women at the FBI. I stood with them here in this country. In every theater of war we have, I was on the ground in service of this nation. And any accusations leveled against me that I would somehow put political bias before the Constitution are grotesquely unfair. And I will have you reminded that I have been endorsed by over 300,000 law enforcement officers to become the next director of the FBI. Let's ask them.
Mr. Chairman.
You know what's fascinating, too? If you're a piece of garbage, progressive, commie, leftist, what's the first thing you're doing right now if Cash Patel was a Democrat nominee? You guys know? What's the first thing you're doing? Oh, that's definitely racist. You're going after the brown guy? 100%. 100 freaking percent. Why am I not doing that? Because it's not true. The Democrats are, many of them are racist, but that's not why they're going after Cash. They're going after Cash because of what I just told you. He's going to uncover the full January 6th story. He's going to stop the FBI weaponization of power, which the left loves. And that pisses him off. But I'm not a lying piece of garbage progressive commie. It's definitely racist. Cash, by the way, was targeted by a weaponized government. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget your history on this. Edutainment, right? Here we go. Educational entertainment. Cash Patel and Devin Nunes were ruthlessly targeted. Phones taken, investigations, subpoenas, because they uncovered scumbag Adam Schiff's absolute fabrication of a Russian collusion fairy tale, which destroyed our country for 4 years and still is rippling through international politics. He was targeted himself. Can you think of a better guy to run the FBI than a guy who's been on the other end of federal government weaponized justice system prosecutions? Listen to this.
Senator, this may be one of the scenarios that most uniquely qualifies me to take command at the FBI. Having been the victim of government overreach and a weaponized system of justice and law enforcement, I know what it feels like to have the full weight of the United States government barreling down on you. And as the Biden Inspector General determined, those activities by the FBI and DOJ were wholly improper and not predicated upon law and facts. I will ensure, if confirmed, that no American is subjected to that kind of torment, to that kind of cost, financially and personally. And most importantly, I will make sure that no American is subjected to death threats like I was, and subjected to moving their residences like I was, because of government overreach, because of leaks of information about my personal status. If confirmed as FBI director, Mr. Chairman, you have my commitment that no one in this country will feel that pain.
Two things, and I don't want to make this story about me, but it is my show, and I feel the need to inject this into it. Number one, notice how Cash talks about how they made the process financially painful for him. Folks, that's a real thing. Cash is not a multi-quadrillionaire. They endlessly put this guy through legal hell in an attempt to do what they did to Donald Trump, make the process punishment. Okay? That's why he mentioned that. Second, Cash had to move. I never told you this. It's not the only reason, so I don't want to exaggerate or be ridiculous. But one of the reasons we got out of here, too, and had to take, because I mistakenly, my address got public. I made a political donation one time, and I put down the address rather than a P.O. box, and it was a disaster. It just turned into a mess. We had people showing up at the house. I had some crazy guy show up. I had the Martin County Sheriff had to look at. I mean, it turned into a total train wreck, folks. Guys showed up all the time. This is not, folks. It's not me. I'm not a fake tough guy. How many times I got to tell you? I got arthritis in every bone in my body. I don't know if I can fight my way out of a wet paper bag anymore. The Karate Man thing is a joke. Okay, I don't know karate or nothing anymore. Okay, if you're lucky, we'll fall on the ground and maybe I'll remember some Brazilian jiu-jitsu, but I'm not even sure. Okay, it's about my family. I got a family. I've got young kids. Okay, this is not. When this happens to you, and knock on wood, God forbid it ever does, it's not about you. Yeah, I'll shoot you if you come to my house. Really? In front of your kids? You're gonna do it? Yeah, if I have to, I have to. So believe me, if that's the kind of thing you want, it ain't me. You want a dead body in your house? Every time you walk by your kitchen, you got to think, that guy was bleeding out over it. Is that what you want? I don't want that. Nobody knows better than Cash. Now, let me show you, this is my last one with Cash, but I want to show you the most pathetic part of yesterday's hearing. It has nothing to do with Cash. It has everything to do with this scumbag, Adam Schiff, who, folks, he is not the dumbest member of Congress. That's AOC. The dumbest male member of Congress is obviously Dan Goldman. The most corrupt, evil, demonic member of Congress, I have zero doubt, well, Senate side now, but Congress in general, is Adam Schiff. You will never meet a bigger scumbag in your life. This guy does not have a shred of human dignity. His DNA is composed of only evil pears. This is evil personified. This is a guy who was exposed. He's questioning Cash Patel, who exposed him lying about the biggest political scandal of our time, a fake collusion fairy tale that destroyed the country for years. Adam Schiff, remarkably, I think should be in prison for some of the stuff he did, is a United States senator, got a promotion because liberals love these evil demons, right? Schiff has the balls to start attacking Cash Patel for trying to help out some people involved in January 6th, and then has even bigger balls to talk about how Cash Patel should do due diligence. Diligence. Oh, I got a due diligence segment for you coming up. But listen to this exchange first. This guy makes me sick. Check this out.
And here you did no diligence to find out whether people you were associating with now the President of the United States in song were convicted of attacking police officers. Is that who we want running the FBI? I want you to turn around. There are Capitol Police officers behind you. They're guarding us. Take a look at them right now. Turn around.
I'm looking at you. You're talking to me.
No, look at them. I want you to look at them if you can, if you have the courage to look them in the eye, Mr. Patel, and tell them you're proud of what you did. Tell them you're proud that you raised money off of people that assaulted their colleagues, that pepper sprayed them, that beat them with poles. Tell them you're proud of what you did, Mr. Patel. They're right there. They're guarding you today. Tell them how proud you are.
That's an abject lie, and you know it. I've never, ever accepted violence against law enforcement. I've worked with these men and women, as you know,
you
my entire
glorified
life,
it in song,
and I did not make a single dime out of it.
In song. Well, let me.
How about you ask them if I have their backs, and let's see about that answer.
Let me ask you this.
Guy's a scumbag. Guy's the biggest piece of garbage, evil demon we have in the United States Senate. The fact that this guy was promoted in the state of California is a wart on the ass of humankind. What Adam Schiff did to this country is a disgrace. He is a documented buffoon, liar, and he is an evil demon. That is all this guy is. He is a disgraceful, disgusting human being. He's talking about Cash doing due diligence. You mean the due diligence he did when he put together the Nunes memo with Devin Nunes and exposed you for being a scumbag? You mean that? By the way, did you do due diligence? Justin and Michael reminded me this morning. They're like, Dan, due diligence. Wasn't Adam Schiff the guy who got pranked by two Russian comedians because he didn't do Russian due diligence, pretending they had fake pictures of Donald Trump naked? I was like, oh my gosh, that happened, didn't it? No. Maybe. I said, remind me. So they pulled this clip, and it turns out this is real. Due diligence, Adam Schiff, dumbass. Listen to this.
She got compromising materials on Trump after their short relations.
Okay. And what's the nature of the compromise?
Well, there were pictures of naked Trump.
Okay. And so Putin was made aware of the availability of the compromising material?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. We will be back in touch with you through our staff to make arrangements to obtain these materials for our committee and for the FBI, and I appreciate you reaching out to us.
This piece of human garbage, Schiff, was the top Democrat on the Intel committee and didn't even have the sense to do due diligence and say, hey, is this really compromise or a couple of Russian comedians making me look like an a-hole? Listen, people get burned all the time, folks. It happens. This was an easy one. Due diligence. Good for Cash Patel. Folks, Bongino Army, I need you here. I'm going to move on a second. I got another clip here coming up about the Brandon Johnson, probably the second or third worst mayor in America. There are worse. But I'm going to ask you again as a favor. Please, Bongino Army, send another email to your senators. I don't care what state you're in. It doesn't matter. Respectfully worded or else it does no good. Please support Cash Patel. We do. We are constituents. Thank you for your time. Very simple. It matters. They listen. I know you guys are hardcore voters who never miss an election. They are going to look you up. These people do not want to get primaried. They do not want to engage in a close election. All they want to do is stay in power. Republicans, Democrats, all of them. Please send that email. This is politics, is a participation sport, not a spectator sport. I need you to do it. Please. It's a critical vote. We don't get this guy in at the FBI, you're never going to get any answers at all. You want to see, did I not tell you guys to go, the show not over, but I'm like, we are not ending the show without playing this. If you live in a city like Chicago or Los Angeles with Karen Bass, who I think right now is probably the worst mayor in America, Brandon Johnson from Chicago is up there. Maybe it's a tie for number one. I don't know. Maybe they split the gold medal. There are so many awful liberal city big mayors. It's really hard to keep track. I mean, it's no point in even keeping a checklist and go on forever. Be like the board of Democrat hoaxes. Trump's been in office 10 days. We're going to need a new board soon. But Brandon Johnson's asked a simple question about ICE raids in the city of Chicago. He's like, hey, bro, didn't they just pick up a guy, like some hardcore criminal who was like, terrorizing your city? You going to help out about that? Hey, man. That's not my job. People in Chicago get killed, raped, murdered. I mean, it's not like I have anything to do with that. No. Oh, yeah, listen to yourself. Check this out.
Tom Homan showed up in Chicago and within 24 hours found a convicted sex offender who has been living in our city since 2009, flouting the sex offender registry. If he can do this, why can't you?
Because that's their job. That is their job. The federal
Their
government
job's not to keep
has
the people of Chicago
responsibility
safe.
to make sure that individuals who are undocumented, who have been charged with, convicted of a crime, it is the federal government's responsibility to do their part and uphold the law. Our local police department, along with our public health department, along with our other sister agencies, are working to build a better, stronger, safer Chicago. And as we've stated repeatedly, those critical investments, you continue to see the results of those investments as violent crime continues to fall in Chicago. Thank you very much.
Folks, this is the liberal ethos. This is why I wake up every morning, like many of you, and thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ that I am not dumb enough to be a liberal. This guy is running on be a liberal, be a progressive, big government's going to solve all your problems. Reporter presents him with a problem. You have all these criminals who are in the country illegally. If you were just to cooperate with ICE, ICE could go in the jails and get rid of them. What's his response? Not my freaking job, bro. How do you live in this? We're on WLS in Chicago on the radio. How do you live in this city with this moron? Are you even interested in results? Like, hey, I don't want to get raped or killed or murdered or home invaded. This is your guy? This is the best you can do. Pull up that Malugin tweet, by the way. Here's Bill Malugin from Fox. You want to see what results look like when your government's run by Donald Trump and not this idiot in Chicago?